And that's a wrap on the headlines and, of course, the reports for this hour. When we return, after this short break, we will continue on Daybreak on Trust TV. Do stay with us. Welcome back. We have gradually arrived at the scene of our conversation this morning. And money politics, it is for us in the studio this morning. Money politics and vote buying is a threat to democratic governance of Nigeria. Unfortunately, it has taken the center stage in our political activities. Parties and candidates gradually abandoning party manifestos and integrity of candidates jostling for public offices. Heavily monetizing the electoral process by resorting to vote buying and voters' inducement. Although the new Electoral Act has helped to address some of these challenges, the issue of money politics still remains with us. Joining us to deliberate these issues are Solomon Adoga, I hope I got that correctly, the Program Officer, Democratic Governance, CISLAC. It's a pleasure to have you join us. And another friend in the house, looking immaculate as always, even though he had not arrived with my salary this morning. Atta Shehu, the convener, Tinubu School to School, and APC member. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah. Starting with you, Shehu is guilty as charged in this case. Yeah. Starting with you, Adoga. I'm sure you, in the last two elections, the one from Ekiti and Osun State, was successful in many fronts, no doubt. Yeah. The introduction or the usage of the Vivas was almost flawless. The transmission of results electronically was commendable by most of the observers. And so many other things that were put in place. Security men sort of stayed in their lane as we had always wanted them to do. We didn't get cases of people being bruised or one party using security forces to stop others from showing up at the voting booths or even getting harassed, as the case may be. But we saw a new dimension, a worrying dimension, essentially. And this is a dimension that has also accompanied even the primary elections of most of the parties. What do you make of this new trend, the monetization of our polity and the quest for credible leadership?
Thank you so very much. First of all, I would like to commend your touchlighting of this very issue, because at this point in time, it seems that we are making great strides in sanitizing our electoral process, in strengthening our electoral system. But of course, like you noted, something very dangerous continues to rear its head. I wouldn't really say that it's a need or that it's an emerging issue. Mm-hmm. It's actually been on ground. But then we've made some huge steps in our electoral process. And like you noted, the last two off-season elections, the messages, the reports coming out from observatories noted the kind of successes that we were wishing to see in our electoral process coming out of those elections. But then the issue of money politics, the issue of vote buying continues to rear its head. So that remains the major challenge in our electoral process as it is today. And I like to refer to it as vote trading, because it goes beyond buying. Mm-hmm. It's actually trading that's happening. there's buying, there's selling, and you need to have somebody that is willing to sell to a buyer for trade to be facilitated. And what we've not really looked at is even touchlighting the issue around the people selling the vote. It's always been vote buying, and I think that we need to look at it from a holistic approach, and that will enable us to be holistic in our approach in tackling the issue. So vote buying is completely antithetical to the core principles of democracy, the core principles of credible election. Citizens, voters are supposed to go to the booths and freely, express their will, through the ballot. But when you induce a voter to, vote otherwise, then you are derailing the very essence of a credible electoral process. So it's a serious issue for us at this point. You can see clearly, especially from the last 2 elections, we are making great progress. We are making great strides. But this is the major issue for us now. And I think that we need to be all out in realizing that this is the big problem for us now. So we need to be all out in addressing it.
All right, let me come to you. I'm going to speak to you right now as a politician. All right, as a politician. In elections past, some of the things that we usually face were snatching of ballot boxes, violence in elections, and all that. Well, we haven't seen that in these 2 previous elections, which is a welcome development. But we have seen this trend. But just like you rightly pointed out, it's not something that's new. Money in politics has always been there, you understand? And we know inducements have actually been bandied about here and there. But right now, it's brazen. I think it's the brazen nature of it that has brought it to the spotlight. As a politician, how does this particular phenomenon now figure into your political strategy as a person, and how does it affect you as a politician going into an election year?
Yeah, thank you so much, Sagru.
Ibrahim
is a very good question. The problem we have as a country, you cannot extricate this issue of vote buying from the continuous failure of governance, because I'm talking as a politician, and it's something that if you are a patriotic Nigerian, you have to be concerned about this. That is why we need more young people that really have the interest of the country at heart to wake up and participate actively in politics for us to be able to salvage this country together. The issue of vote buying is something that is very, very deleterious to even the existence of this country if it is not corrected. And it's not something that started with this government. It's something that started since the advent of our democratic system of government since 1999, and unfortunately, the PDP, they have taken this orchestra of vote buying to a pedigree that we are all bothered about. I'm not saying it's only the PDP alone. All parties in the country is involved in this, but we have woken to a realization, and the INEC and the new Electoral Act has put a lot of things in place to ensure that this is mitigated. Now, it affects presenting credible candidates, because if we're not going to have a platform to present a credible candidate, for those credible candidates to win election, because some other candidates have the ability and the capacity to buy votes, or the electorate can be induced to vote for some candidates that have no capacity to deliver. So it's going to be a vicious cycle. You buy vote, you induce voters to buy vote to get into position of governance. So at the end of the day, it's going to affect, it's going to be a lose-lose for all Nigerians. So, and I'm happy that there's a gradual paradigm shift from this, and still more work has to be done in terms of voter education, implication of all this, and what have you.
Coming back to you again, Aduga. You raised quite a number of germane issues. One of them, he said, the need for more youthful participation. He talked about voters' education, but what do you say to a hungry person?
Exactly.
Right. So is it just about the voters' education or the level of poverty that has made this attractive? To say whatever you want to say. The hungry person is a hungry person. Maybe was not even interested in the process at all. It had to take that inducement to even approach the poll at all. That's one sort of problem that needs to be settled.
True.
The other ones we saw were at the primary elections, where the kind of people we saw were not exactly hungry.
Absolutely.
Some of them were doing quite well. At any rate, even the remuneration at that level is not even in the naira. I mean, it's in foreign currency. So where do we situate this problem? Is it just with poverty, or just this mentality that I may just never see these politicians again for another 4 years? This is my time to cash out.
Yeah. I've always seen the drivers of vote trading from two perspectives. I've seen a pull factor, I've seen a push factor. I've seen where politicians' desperation to win election by all means, have fueled monetization of the politics. That our political offices are some of the most flamboyant in the world. They are some of the most lucrative. They are some of the most powerful. And so when you are able to control those or wield those kind of, so it's enticing. They do anything and everything to attain such positions. And then on the other side, on the part of the citizens, like you rightly noted, the issue of widespread poverty. And so politicians are pushing, and poverty is pulling citizens in to grab all of those. So those are the two dimensions that I like to look at vote trading from. So we've always preferred to look at, probably trying to tackle from the side of the politicians, which you could say is probably a lot easier, even though we are not doing it per se at the moment, because it entails, just putting in place mechanisms to checkmate buying of the vote. But then to address widespread poverty looks like a challenge that government just wants to,
look away from.
And that is the issue. Perhaps also it's a long-term, it will entail long-term, strategy to actually completely, mitigate widespread poverty. And so the easiest to do will be to start, blocking the politicians from perpetrating vote buying. But like you said, it's completely necessary for us. So long as we have the issue of poverty, when people are induced, they are going to accept.
The vulnerability is...
They are going to accept, because like you rightly said, you cannot tell a hungry man not to eat when food is offered.
Done good before him.
All right, so let me come to you. Still as a politician, when we talk about this issue of vote buying, I think we can all agree that INEC is doing a very good job when it comes to giving us credible elections with the way the things are being put in place. You understand? So we are well on our way to having fully credible, fair elections. We are on our way to doing that. Now, this issue of vote buying puts the searchlight on the credibility of the candidate. Are we gradually shifting towards a situation whereby we will have watered down candidates that actually have nothing to offer, because it seems like we are heading there, because now we don't have issue-based campaigns anymore. Issue-based campaigns are thrown to the back burner, and everybody just goes on election day, I fill my pockets with money, I go and buy these votes and I win. Are we heading towards that situation whereby we're going to have non-credible candidates that are going to go and win these elections, and at the end of the day, not give us anything worthwhile as leaders?
Thank you so much, Ibrahim. Very good question. You cannot take away the credibility of your candidates from having if you want to curb the issue of vote buying, the issue of the credibility, the capacity of the candidates you are presenting is very critical. Why some political parties are making deliberate effort to get this right, unfortunately, and even the media is not helping us. We tend to trump up issues that are not important to an average man on the street. For God's sake, if I'm sick today, I don't want to know the religion of the doctor that is going to take care of my Medicare. I just want to get well. So we should begin to look at the issue of politics, leadership, governance in this same light. Okay, look at the APC, for instance. We are still talking about the issue of credibility of candidates, because if we want to curb the issue of vote buying, the umpires, the civil society, the political party, it's a collaborative work. It's not something the political parties alone or the politicians have to do alone. It's something that all Nigerians, all hands have to be on deck. We are talking about issue as important as continuity, as governance beyond 2023. And some people are talking about Muslim tickets.
Let me not break your thoughts there, but I'm trying to steer this conversation as much as possible and to provide some clarification. Those of us who went through media studies essentially told that the media is a mirror of the society. If you look at the media, you see yourself.
Yes.
We are just a conduit. We reflect the concerns of people, however germane you think those concerns are or not. And the issue as raised by these people, whether it concerns fairness, equality, or representations, are germane. We can't push them to the back burner. We could have superior arguments, but it is important that they are reflected, because we must reflect every shade and sides of opinion. That's fine. And I think the media is well on the way. That is why we are looking at this ahead of an election in 6-7 months' time. Because we, like the media has acknowledged in our coverage, remember that we were there in our hundreds in Ekiti and in Osun. Nobody is paying us for that. Nobody is giving us any credit, because we want to tell the stories the way they are. And we have brought this issue of vote buying as something that would seem to derail the progress that we seem to be making. A whole lot, the international community and even the civil societies have commended this last 2 elections with regards to the process and all of that. And I made that in my opening statement. The question really is, it does appear that we are at the mercy of these politicians. It appears that the repenting has to come more from the politician than it is expected from. If we see the politicians repent and they act in the way and manner that reflects our wishes and desires, we will also put that out. So how much of repenting do you think is happening right now on the side of politicians?
I'll focus more on my own party,
Okay.
the APC, and back to Ibrahim's concern about credibility of candidates and all that. For us to be able to curb vote buying, I'll still go back to this, that the credibility of the candidate you are putting on your ballot is very key. Important. It's very key. And let's not get it wrong. Money is needed to prosecute an election. Even taking your own message to the masses, you need money. The media you need money to pay the media for you to be able to take your message to the electorate. So where does it stop now? The funding, where does it stop? So do you now push more money into prosecuting an election to the extent of inducing voters? So you need to be able to know your limitation as a politician, as a political party. And that is where the political parties now comes in, for you to be able to present credible people with credible track record, people that have done something in the past that you can make reference to. And fortunately for us, APC, that is where we have a better chance in 2023. That is where we have a better chance in 2023. We've been able to present candidates that are credible. We're talking about performance, capacity, track records. Asiwaju has all this. And Kashim Shettima has all this. So we should try to deviate from the issue of religion. Let's begin to look at credibility of the candidate who are presenting for elective position. And one thing I'm hopeful about is this, and I want you to put this on record, that beyond 2023, Nigerians will begin to see that the veil of religion that was used to cover all our eyes, then credibility will now take over from that, because these candidates are going to perform, and there will be a gradual paradigm shift from issue of religion and all sorts of other primordial sentiments.
Okay. I just want us to properly deconstruct this argument for the average, not the average Nigerian, for Nigerians essentially, because cumulatively they are far more intelligent than the four of us in this room, right? So the incidences of vote buying, I'm coming to you, Aduga, because I know you have you've carried out a number of research, and you seem to, as a civil society, have interrogated this issue scientifically, right? Where we have seen this incident, is it, I'm just speaking to, as an offshoot from his response, have they largely been a function of candidates that are not credible, or merely the belief that until you put money in the hands of voters, you cannot sway them to your side? Or it's a competition by all the political parties on who pays the most? What is the driving or overriding consideration, I mean, from your own scientific evaluation, of what motivates these people, other than the issue of poverty that we have identified?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all of those drivers. Like I mentioned earlier, politicians want to win elections. And it's not wrong to want to win elections. It's a competition. And elections are very, very competitive. They should be, right? And it's just like every other sport, competitive sport. If the rules and regulations that are in place, to checkmate foul play are not very effective, foul plays will occur. Definitely. Even in our very beloved football, players try to,
sway
the referees. So these are going to be tendencies with politicians naturally. What is important is for us to have regulations that are very, very effective. To say that yes, you may have the inclination to want to be mischievous, but
the system
will check you. The system will pull you out. Money politics is, as it is today, not something that we are going to just wish away to sensitization. Yes, sensitization is an effective tool for citizens, but you are not going to heavily rely on the goodwill of citizens to discourage such acts from. You have to be able to punish on both sides, the buyer, the seller. And as it is today, we are not seeing those punishments coming out clearly. So you are not discouraging. Yes, even in the last two elections in Ekiti and Osun, there were pockets of arrest.
Yes.
But we are not hearing anything about those. And that is how they will die away. The next election, the people are still encouraged to continue in the same
Yeah,
state.
so now that you've actually opened the door to this particular sphere of the discussion, yes, we've identified what the problem is. Now let's try and look at what the solution can be. These vote buyers, they don't come with a table and put it there and arrange stacks of money and say, okay, fine, come, bring your vote, let me buy it. They don't advertise these kind of things. So I believe from what we have seen, because you said we've heard pockets of it, you understand? It's difficult for, in a situation like this, let's say, for example, INEC, to say, okay, fine, we are going to go out and be looking for people who have money in their pockets and they are buying people's votes so that we can catch them, or even the police. So what I'm saying is, where does the onus lie? Because I'm actually pushing it to you, but I want you to answer it yourself. You understand? Where does the onus lie when it comes to tackling this? Because we can't say we've identified poverty as a major issue, and the government, you and I cannot do anything about that. You and I can't do anything about that. And we've just, like I've just said, it's going to be difficult, for example, the umpire, like INEC, to say, okay, fine, we're going to have people that will go around monitoring people to see who has stacks of money in his pocket. Where does the onus lie to be able to try and check this?
A very, very jamming question. You know, sometimes we push too much to INEC. Too much. We have over 170-something thousand polling units in this country. We have over
10,000 watts.
We have over 8,000 wards in this country. There are 774 local government offices. There are 36 state offices. There's the headquarters, and all of those stages are going to be mounted by INEC officials. And then there's the election day. And you expect that INEC is supposed to staff, you know, all of those units. And then you ask yourself, what is the capacity of INEC to actually do this? So in that regard, I think that we really push too much to INEC, not to even forget the amount of litigation that INEC has to, you know, prosecute, attend to, you know. So it should be a collaborative affair. And to be very, very honest with our observatories, our interactions with INEC, INEC conducts a quarterly consultative forum, you know, with stakeholders. And in one of those consultations, there's the specific consultation with security agencies. And that is supposed to bring everybody on board to address, well, not just issues of vote trading, but security issues, basically. These days, we've also seen anti-graft agencies coming into that spectrum, you know. So that is the way to go, you know. When Shehu opened his comment, I was thinking, wow, this is a very, I don't know the word to use now. I thought that he was such a shift, you know, from the norm in terms of the type of politician that he is. But, you know, gradually, gradually, I also heard him, you know, shifting to the regular politician, you know, a very, very good Nigerian politician. So politicians are going to be tactical. Like you say, they are not out there trading in the open. But these things are not also done in the realm of the spirit. They are physical. There are things that we can see. There are things that we can see, and being that we can see them, we should be able to tackle them. Like, for instance, some of the reports that came out from our observatory in Osun, we saw the method that, because the politicians are not just going to give you the money to say, go and vote for us, and then you vote and go home. No, you have to show proof. You have to show proof. And we saw how voters were, you know, displaying their ballot
Tactically.
Somebody will hide somewhere, and then when you turn print, you display your ballot tactically before you cast.
In fact, with others, they arrive at this polling booth with their phone, and then they snap
You
whatever
snap
they have.
to go
They
and
have
show.
thumbprinted just to show so that you can make claim.
This practice, beyond just being the act of vote buying, goes ahead to further derail the secrecy of the ballot. We are supposed to ensure ballot secrecy. So by just doing that, you are already, derailing that principle, which is not even good to the implementation of the Electoral Act.
A final thought from you, Shehu. You've talked about the need to open up the space more, to have more young people come in as a way. Can you expand on that thought in 40 seconds? Yeah.
Thank you so much. That is still increasing the space for political participation because, like he said, if we want to curb the issue of vote buying, it should be a collaborative effort because it's something that affects all of us. If we cannot curb that at that very level, that means at the end of the day, we'll not be able to produce credible leaders. And the issue of governance that has pushed us all Nigerians to this corner of poverty, that this poverty has been weaponized against all of us. Because, if you have your capacity to take care of your child's school fees, if you have your capacity to put food on your table, if you have your capacity to take yourself to the hospital, you have hospitals around where if your family is sick, you're sick, you can take care of yourself. You won't be that pressed to the world to want to take money from the politician before you can vote for a credible leader. So it has to be collaborative. It has to be that the political parties have to be involved. The candidate you are fielding, what is his track record? So everybody has to be involved to get this very dangerous issue taken off of our political space. So everybody have to be concerned. There have to be more enlightenment, voters education. It's not going to be something that will die overnight. Directly or indirectly, all of us are affected, and we need to work deliberately to ensure that we curb the issue of vote buying, and that starts from presenting credible candidates, and that is what APC has been able to do.
I will have to stop you there, Mr. Atta. You have more than made the point. Very interesting perspective from fantastic individual in the newsroom, and it speaks volume to what even Nigerians are yearning for. And if we have these brilliant minds, dissecting issues as it borders on how this country should move forward, we should also be seeing this kind of faces on the ballot box. That is what I preached this morning. That is where I stand. We want to thank Solomon Adoga from CISLAC for providing those wonderful, insightful perspective on this discourse this morning. And of course, our friend, the enigmatic Atta Shehu,
thank you so much.
A frontline politician, if you like, in his own right. I am actually looking forward to the day I will see Atta's face on the ballot. Thank you, gentlemen, for being part of this program.
Thank you for the opportunity to lend our views to all this.
It's a pleasure as always. This is where we draw the curtain on this program. We will take a break, and when we return, the show continues.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Daybreak right here on Trust TV. Quickly, before we go, we're going to have a little sports wrap right here with our in-house sports person, and talking about Adeni Ajishafe, and he's going to give us just a brief insight as to the CAF Awards held last night. Adeni, good morning.
Yeah, good to have me on the show. And the fact is that Senegal really showed that they are the Lions of Africa. They ruled yesterday. They did well. About 4 categories of the award that they won. That is the National Team of the Year, Senegal. Coach of the Year, Aliou Cisse, Senegal. Player of the Year, Sadio Mane, unexpectedly. And also the Young Player of the Year, Sarr, actually won it also from Senegal. So 4 categories belonging to the Teranga Lions. But the biggest one, I would say, actually went down with our own lady, that is Asisat Oshoala, breaking the record. At least she's the first African now to have scooped this award 5 times. If you look at the male and the female category, she's the only person. At least that is historic enough.
And that is comforting enough, isn't it?
Exactly, that's the comfort we'll take, because that was where I was heading to.
Yeah,
that's the comfort we'll take.
At least, I love the fact that she won, because like you said, it will actually give us a lot of comfort after looking at what has actually happened at the WAFCON so far. So scooping that award as a Nigerian, as history made kind of award, become even Samuel Eto'o won it 4 times.
Exactly.
Papecha Nkocha won it 4 times, and Asisat Oshoala. A lot of people were scared because why CAF was saying maybe they will use WAFCON and all thereabout. If they would use WAFCON, maybe she should have lost her because of the fact that she didn't play most of the games. She only played 1. And now the fact that she did this, we have to celebrate our own, no matter what.
Definitely.
She really deserved it. She did well.
I need to get your perspective on this, the debate, Salah Mane.
Seriously, both of them are very good. To be candid, they are both African. You have to celebrate them. But right now, you see, right now you are saying?
Yeah, exactly, right now.
Right now, I think you look at Mane really slightly is having an edge because of winning the WAFCON, the AFCON Nations Cup with Senegal, being the captain, and also qualifying for the World Cup at the expense of the same Egypt where Mo Salah is from. So it's like one way or the other, twice he has actually failed Salah. And it's so painful, but that's football. At least there was a time that Salah too dominated. So, but the fact that the 2 of them are actually having that race is interesting. If you look up there, looking at the world level, you think of Salah, you think of Mane, what they've done in football, and you're like, okay, we have 2 Africans who, if they are doing this World Footballer of the Year, even though they don't win it, they are always there for people to think that they deserve it. So for now, looking at the fact that for now, I would say Mane is having an edge over Salah.
2 questions, quick one for me. There is also the conversation of Mane for the World Footballer of the Year. Some very notable names have said, if they want to be fair, then he should be on the ballot. Well, he would be on the ballot, then he should be the scooper. That's on the one hand. I want to also be a feminist, is it? This time around. If women are bringing us so much glory, why are we embarrassing ourselves with owing them money at tournaments and not paying them as much as we do those who go there and all we see are earrings and braided hairs? And what is happening to equality in remuneration and even treatment?
Okay, 2 in 1. First of all, to be candid with ourselves, we have to be truthful. I would love an African to win World Footballer of the Year. It's not as if they cannot. They can. But
they have one. George Weah has one.
Yes. But right now, this award right now, there are a lot of people that, when you look at the performance, yes, Sadio Mane, Mo Salah, they deserve to win. But truthfully, it will still go to that Frenchman from the way it's going right now. It's obvious that he could scoop it. Well, talking about the issue of women not being paid their allowances, that's a big issue in Nigeria. I think it's high time the bodies, NFL, Nigerian Football Federation, Federal Ministry of Youth and Sports, should stop putting blames of, they didn't come late to submit a report concerning the WAFCON. Just do the right thing. It's shameful that we are owing these ladies. Very shameful.
It is. It is quite shameful.
Unfortunately, this is the much we can take for our sport lovers this morning. For every Nigerian, let me say congratulations to you for the honor that has been brought on this nation by Oshoala. I know how sad we were the night when we lost to Morocco. I think this is one Friday that we should be cheerful about, about the performance of one of our own. They said an injury to one is an injury to all. A victory for one indeed is a victory for all. That's the much we can take this morning. It's been a pleasure to have you ride with us on what has been a very interesting edition of Daybreak on Trust Television. I am Sunday Michael Ogun.
Yes, before we go, thank you very much, Adini, for coming on the show this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for joining us.